Yeah. Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
and then the Holy Christian Texans, the Church of
Oh yeah.
the
The team that is like trying their absolute best to hold on to a quarterback that obviously does not want to play for them.
Mhm.
And so what do they do to, hey, Deshaun, we really are changing lanes. We're helping you out. We have made some great signings. We've signed Tyrod Taylor. We signed Mark Ingram, and we got you Andre Roberts.
Yeah.
Like,
What more do you want?
just amazing.
Yeah.
They got Marcus Cannon, who's a solid right tackle, but like again, nothing spectacular. Farrell Brown, the backup tight end. Andre Roberts, depth wide receiver. Mark Ingram, good running back, but probably shouldn't be your bell cow. Tyrod Taylor, built-in backup backup quarterback.
Their head coach was so bad at defending why he wouldn't trade them. Why? Because he's a Texan. I know that. That was my favorite. They are the king so far this year of like signings of like just like players that you just don't really care about, and they're like a 1 year deal. Look, everything's like a 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Like it's just
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, there's like some average player like you kind of forgot about, like a Mark Ingram or whatever. Like he's going to the Texans. Okay,
Yo, Justin McCray is
look at
here for
these
2 years
signings.
though.
Oh my
Oh my
god, look how far
god.
that
I didn't
goes.
realize they made that many.
Who's
I haven't
worse
really been
off?
paying attention that much to the Texans because they're just kind of bleh.
Yeah, they okay. The part that pisses me off about them is that they're clogging the feed. When I'm going through new looking for blockbuster signings, there's stupid signings like this, like Vernon Hargraves and whatever else, just boring.
You
But
know what, Dylan? Christian Kirksey's really going to change that defense around.
yeah, exactly. He's gonna burn it to the
It's
ground
terrible.
probably. Who's worse off right now, Chicago or Houston?
Houston, because at least we have a defense that will win us probably more games than we should. This team doesn't even have a defense. Like, I mean, look at their defense right now. We're looking at it right now. I mean, you have Grugier Hill, who's a depth linebacker, Kirksey, who's past his prime, and his prime wasn't that spectacular. Terrence Mitchell, whatever. Vernon Hargraves comes back, great. He's like a slot corner. Tavir Thomas, don't even know who you are, buddy, but congrats, you're back. Terrence Brooks, don't know who you are, but hey, another backup safety, might as well. That's just a whole lot of like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I think at least the Bears are in their natural place of having no suitable quarterback and an
Well,
otherwise complete team around them, but the
and
Texans have a
here's the
complete
other
quarterback and no team.
well, and here's the other thing too is who's worse off, Chicago or Houston? Houston to me is they're definitely worse off simply because at least if the Bears go into a full rebuild in a year, which is inevitable at this point, it feels like, at least the Bears will have pieces to trade and to like get accumulate draft picks or players that they want to build upon. I mean, the Texans don't have anything. I mean, they got rid of everything that they could have traded away potentially while they were trying to rebuild. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Chicago could sell at least and get rid of all of their players. I mean, they could trade Mac for probably a first round pick. I don't know if it'll be a current first round pick that year, but probably a future. And then you could probably get at least a second at the very max for Eddie Jackson, depending on how well he plays this year.
Oh my god.
And then Kyle Fuller and Akeem Hicks leave, and they're off your cap. And then you sign Roquan Smith to a massive deal. You sign
Danny Trevathan will be off the books by then, right?
yeah, well, he's got like 2 years left, so technically no, but I mean, they could probably cut him for a little cap hit. I don't know. We'll get more into Bears talk later because I definitely want to hit on the Bears talk when we get to it. I think when we get to the Bears on here, we'll probably rant about the Bears for quite a bit. But yeah, definitely the Bears better off than Houston. I don't know what Houston's doing. So, but let's go to the next team, which is the Colts, which
Oh my god, that's
uh,
it.
we've talked about Carson Wentz quite a bit, so I don't want to go too in depth into it. So what I will say about this is Carson Wentz, if he's playing anywhere near his old self, is a great signing for them because they get a quarterback that finally can come in and play behind a good offensive line with good talent around him and exceed. potentially expectations that people have. So I think it's a great signing because at the end of the day, they're not eating all of his cap like Philly is. So they can always get rid of him eventually, or even just have him on the roster as a backup if they decide to get a different quarterback that's better. So I think it's a great signing. And then Marlon Mack, or I think it's a great trade. And then getting Marlon Mack back for 1 year, $2 million is a steal because he, when healthy, is a really good running back. So.
And what's interesting, the Colts still have like $40 million in cap space. So why didn't they didn't really go out and get anyone? Are they just like waiting for that second, third round of free agency? I mean,
yeah, I think Ballard's a very smart GM, so I'm not like shocked by that. But I do want to comment on something because I do 100% agree. I think they should just get rid of Hines. I don't know why Hines is there too much. Quentin Nelson's contract is up in a year or two, I believe, because he's got that 5th-year option that they could pick up because he was a first-round pick.
they do need to save space for his extension, though. Yes.
Oh yeah, they have to. I mean, they're already talking about Well, here's the other thing too that you have to look out for is paying a left guard a massive contract is different than paying a left tackle a massive contract. So the whole talk of the Colts potentially, because Costanzo retired, putting Quentin out at left tackle, that's a massive upgrade in contract that they also have to think about if they're going to make that move. So I mean, you're talking, he's going to get 11, 12 million a year at guard and then switches over to tackle and gets nearly 12 or nearly 20.
Other than that, not much going on with them though. Interesting up and coming team, possibly. I'm sure.
Okay, so a couple things I'll say about the Jags off the bat. They're going to end up drafting Trevor Lawrence, so he's their quarterback. So that's what I'm going into thinking about when I look at this team. What I think about this team is, I think that with a new coach like Urban Meyer, and listen, again, as an Ohio State fan, I know Urban Meyer for the last few years. I've had to watch him. I never liked Urban Meyer simply because I thought he was too arrogant, and I thought his teams always slipped up. Under Urban Meyer at Ohio State, all of his teams slipped up at some point during the season and lost a game, and I don't like that. I don't like that he that scares me for the NFL. Like because it's a 16-week thing where you're not the man. Like you have to, like it's a team. Like these guys, you have to show respect to them. You can't just be like the leader of the entire college team. So I don't really think that he's going to be super successful at Jacksonville. There's a certain way that he could, and it's if he drafts well and gets the right guys in. I just am worried about that. But looking at this, what you can see is Carlos Hyde.
Wait, does he have executive powers?
He's probably not, but probably close. Like I would assume it's a very similar situation to Bill.
For the Texans.
Bill O'Brien, right?
Oh yeah, O'Brien.
Yeah, the way he kind of had some executive. Yeah, there we go, Bill O'Brien. I don't know why we were just playing dumb. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if he'll be successful because one of the things that makes college coaches sometimes great that makes them unsuccessful in the NFL, like I think is the case with Nick Saban too, is Nick Saban and Urban Meyer are fantastic recruiters, and that's not what you can do in the NFL. I mean, yeah, you can recruit free agents, but that's not the same as recruiting college kids, and that's also not the same as drafting. And that's why you saw Nick Saban kind of fail when he was in Miami. Yeah, maybe the situation wasn't perfect, but that's kind of why you saw him fail. And then that's kind of why you see, why I'm not really sure if Urban Meyer's going to succeed.
And okay, and yeah, you mentioned Tom Coughlin. Isn't he gone?
Vice president of football operations.
Okay, he was fired. Oh, thank God.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought he was.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I really I'm all for like a new regime. Regime. Oh my God.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm all for like a new regime. Don't hold on to like a dead weight like him because that was going to be really boring. So good to see he's actually gone.
Anyways, so after all that talk, what I'll do is just kind of going over quickly these signings. So you get Carlos Hyde, who's a running back who guess where he went to college. So yeah, he brings him in because he knows him well and he can play him. Carlos Hyde's always one of those running backs that you want as your secondary running back.
Yeah.
Okay. So wide receivers, they get Agnew from Detroit, who is a great special team / wide receiver. I'm pretty sure he was a converted corner. Like I think he was a corner in the NFL. So that's an interesting signing, but he's a good special teamer too, so that helps. Philip Dorsett, just speed. That's all you got to say. Speed. Marvin Jones was a very good veteran receiver coming from Detroit again. Cam Robinson, good left tackle, so they're trying to keep him. Tyler Shatley is a good depth guard, so they're trying to keep him. Smoot, another good defensive end who is good at run stopping, so they're trying to keep him as well. Tyson Alalu, I think I said that actually pretty well. He's coming in over from the Steelers. He is older, so he's more of a veteran signing to kind of help the young guys in that defensive line because they have some awesome players. I love Josh Allen. He's one of my favorite. But yeah, and then Josh Allen was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft too. Defensive end, so that gives them a little bit of veteran leadership there to learn from. Malcolm Brown is a nice, good depth signing. Obviously, Robertson Harrison, we loved him over here. He's a great pass rusher. I'm sad to see him go.
He's so good, and he deserves that contract, and they couldn't keep him on cheap for depth and everything. But like,
100%, no player
he carried some games.
Yeah, no player deserves that contract better because he's such a hard worker, and then he's a great pass rusher. So kudos to them. Then they get Sidney Jones re-signing, which is a good re-sign. And then Shaquille Griffin is really their biggest signing, who's a great one corner in the league. So, they're making a lot of moves that are interesting. They're building for the future. I can see him getting players that he wants in, as well as getting some guys to work for the future. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be an interesting team to watch for the next couple of years because really it depends on whether Urban Meyer will be able to succeed. So yeah, and I also agree. I'm surprised. I guess the Jacksonville does have DJ Chark though, who's really good and young, and then they've also got I think D.D. Westbrook's still there, and didn't they get Chenault too, who's a slot guy? So I think wide receiver they're a little okay. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Jets broke the bank for Juju because they definitely need wide receiver help, but. Yeah, I think Jacksonville's better off okay in that department. Yeah, he didn't have a great year last year, but then again, that was he had freaking what's his face throwing to him.
Minshew, and then right?
Yeah, Minshew, but then they benched Minshew because he was playing too well. And then who was the other quarterback? It was the one that we signed for the Bears for he was going to be the bridge quarterback to help Trubisky, and then he played 4 games. Huh?
Glennon? Oh yeah, it was Glennon. He was there last year. Oh my god.
All right, Titans. Some interesting players. Bud Dupree was a great signing for them. That's a good pass rush. They needed pass rush. I was talking about them. If you actually now, I got to change my mock draft after we got to come out with a mock draft next week, because of free agency. Because I said in my mock draft that I had Tennessee taking a pass rusher, and it was because I thought that they needed pass rush. And what do? They go out and sign Bud Dupree, who's a great pass rusher. So they answered my own recommendation.
The worst pass rushing team behind the Seahawks. Yeah, I'd buy that.
Exactly, which is why they needed to. I wouldn't even be surprised if they did go out and draft another pass rusher in the first round because, again, that's who I had mocked to them. I think I had I don't know if it was the guy. I think I had the guy from Georgia, the defensive end from Georgia, going to them. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah. And then Janoris Jenkins, he's been a good corner in the league, so it's a decent signing. Kind of helped with the depth. They get a corner, hopefully that at least produces more than frickin' Malcolm Butler produced there. And then Autry coming over from the Colts is a great signing because he's always a consistent veteran. And the rest of it's just kind of, not really noteworthy, more depth guys. Yeah, not a lot of big names, nothing that's going to kill you except for the Bud Dupree and the Jaylen Brown re-signing. Both are good plays, but yeah, they needed pass rush help desperately, and they got it in Bud Dupree. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted one still, but